The mahogany table was cold. That's the first thing I remember. The smell of expensive cigars and old-school entitlement filled the air of the 42nd floor. Sterling Logistics was more than a company. In Chicago, it was an institution. And for 7 years, I was its heartbeat. I was the daughter who didn't go to Coachella. I was the daughter who spent her 21st birthday analyzing supply chain bottlenecks in a warehouse in Gary, Indiana. My father, Arthur Sterling, always had a mantra. Family first. Elara. Build the legacy, and the legacy will feed you. I believed him. I took a salary that was 40% below market rate. I didn't ask for bonuses. I didn't ask for a fancy title. Because I was family. Because I was supposed to own 30% of the firm when the merger with the European conglomerate went through. That 30% was worth $15 million. That was my retirement. My freedom. My proof of existence. Then came the Tuesday that changed everything. My brothers, Julian and Marcus, were there. They looked like they had just stepped off a yacht. They probably had. They spent their workdays networking at golf clubs and researching in the Hamptons. I had just closed the Midwest distribution deal, the one that made the merger possible. My father cleared his throat. He didn't look at me. He looked at the gold Rolex I'd bought him for his 60th birthday. Elara, he said. His voice was like gravel. We've had to make some hard choices for the future of the Sterling name. To ensure the boys have the proper standing for the board seats post-merger, we've restructured the equity. The room went silent. I could hear the hum of the AC. The 30% we discussed, he continued, finally meeting my eyes with a look of fake pity. It's just not feasible. It would dilute the boys' control. And let's be honest, sweetheart. You're 29. You'll find a good man. You'll have a family. You don't need the stress of a board seat. He slid a check across the table. It wasn't a stock certificate. It was a personal check. $50,000. It's a gratitude payment, Marcus sneered, his eyes dancing with malice. Go buy a nice SUV. Or a wedding dress. Consider it a thank you for the help these last few years. $50,000. For 7 years of 80-hour weeks. For the proprietary code I wrote that tracked every truck in our fleet. For the $100 million in revenue I'd added to the books. I looked at the check. I looked at my father. Is this it? I asked. My voice didn't shake. That was my first victory. Be grateful, Elara, my father said, his voice hardening. Most daughters get nothing but a trust fund. I'm giving you a clean slate. Have you ever been told your life's work was just a helping hand because of your gender or your age? How did you keep your composure in that moment? I walked out. I didn't take my desk plants. I didn't take my Employee of the Year plaques. I took the check. I sat in my 2018 Honda Civic in the parking garage. If you have $50,000 and a burning hatred, you have a seed. Most people in my position would have spent that $50,000 on a revenge lifestyle. A vacation to Bali. A Chanel bag. A therapist. I didn't. I moved into a studio apartment in a part of Chicago where people don't wear suits. I ate oatmeal. I cancelled my Netflix. I became a ghost. But I knew something my father didn't. I knew the Sterling Logistics client list by heart. And more importantly, I knew their pain points. Sterling was old. It was bloated. It relied on relationships and handshakes. In the modern US market, handshakes don't track a shipment of refrigerated medicine from Memphis to Seattle. Data does. I spent $20,000 of that gratitude check on a high-end server and a lawyer to ensure my non-compete clause was as full of holes as I thought it was. I spent another $10,000 on a patent filing. I had a vision for a decentralized logistics platform. A system that bypassed the middleman hubs that Sterling owned. I called it NovaFlow. The remaining $20,000 was my runway. In the United States, $20,000 isn't much. But when you're fueled by the memory of your brothers laughing at you, you can make a dollar stretch for a mile. I worked in the dark. I didn't post on LinkedIn. I didn't tell my friends. I let my father think I was somewhere in Florida, nursing my wounds and looking for a husband. A year passed. In the US logistics world, things move fast. Inflation was hitting. Fuel costs were spiking. Sterling Logistics was struggling because Julian and Marcus were too busy networking at the country club to realize that their fleet was aging and their tech was prehistoric. I launched NovaFlow in a quiet beta. I didn't go after the big fish first. I went after the vendors Sterling had treated like dirt. The small to medium trucking companies that were tired of Sterling taking a 30% cut for doing nothing but making a phone call. My pitch was simple. I used to run Sterling's operations. I know they're overcharging you. My platform takes 5%. It's automated. You get paid in 24 hours, not 60 days. In the personal finance world, we call this the power of the pivot. I wasn't just building a company. I was building a vacuum. I was sucking the oxygen out of my father's room. By month 18, NovaFlow was profitable. By month 24, we were a threat. I remember the first time my father heard of me. It was at the National Logistics Summit in Vegas. I wasn't on the floor. I was in a private suite, meeting with the CEO of a major retail giant, one of Sterling's crown jewel clients. The client wanted out of their contract with Sterling. They were losing 15% of their shipments to unforeseen delays. I showed them the NovaFlow dashboard. Real-time AI routing. Predictive weather analysis. I offered them a deal that would save them $2 million a year. Who are you? The CEO asked. I'm the person who built Sterling, I said. And now I'm the person who's replacing it. If you had to choose between a guaranteed $50,000 today or a 10% chance at $15 million in 5 years, which would your financial gut tell you to take? The 2024 economic shift hit Sterling Logistics like a freight train. The merger my father had sacrificed me for, it fell through. The Europeans realized that Sterling was a hollow shell. The tech didn't work. The staff was demoralized. Julian had been caught using company funds for a marketing retreat that was actually a gambling trip to Macau. Sterling's stock, privately held but valued for the merger, plummeted. They needed a bailout. They needed a miracle. My father tried to call me. I let it go to voicemail. Elara. Honey. It's Dad. We're going through a bit of a rough patch. Family needs to stick together. Call me. I listened to it while sitting in my new office, a glass-walled space overlooking the Chicago River. I didn't feel sad. I felt nothing. That's the secret of professional revenge. It's not emotional. It's a balance sheet. I started buying Sterling's debt. Quietly. Through a series of LLCs. In the US, if you own a company's debt, you own their soul. My father had taken out massive loans to cover Julian's restructuring costs. He had put up his own shares, his control of the company, as collateral. I bought those loans for 60 cents on the dollar. Why? Because the banks were scared. They saw Sterling as a sinking ship. They saw NovaFlow as the future. I was now my father's largest creditor. He didn't even know it. The call finally came. Not from my father, but from their lawyers. Sterling Logistics was facing a forced liquidation. They had a potential buyer, but the buyer was demanding a meeting with the entire board. I showed up. I wore a suit that cost more than my first car. I walked into that same 42nd floor boardroom. The mahogany table was still there, but the room felt smaller. The air smelled like desperation and cheap coffee. My father looked 20 years older. Julian and Marcus were silent, staring at their phones, looking for a way to blame each other. We're waiting for the representative from NovaFlow Holdings, my father said, his voice cracking. They've acquired our debt. They're our only hope. I sat down in the chair at the head of the table. The chair my father used to sit in. I'm here, I said. The silence was absolute. I watched the blood drain from Marcus's face. I watched my father's mouth open and close like a fish out of water. Elara, he whispered. What is this? A joke? No, Dad, I said, sliding a thick stack of legal documents across the table. It's a restructuring. You remember those, right? I laid it out for them. NovaFlow Holdings had acquired 51% of Sterling Logistics through debt-to-equity conversion. As of 9 a.m. this morning, I was the chairwoman of the board. I owned the building. I owned the trucks. I owned their salaries. "You can't do this," Julian yelled, jumping up. "We're family." Family. I leaned back. Family is a gratitude payment of $50,000, remember? Family is being told you're just a girl who needs a husband instead of a career. This isn't family, Julian. This is a hostile takeover. I looked at my father. The terms are simple. Julian and Marcus, you are terminated effective immediately. No severance. You can use your networking skills to find new jobs. I hear the local country club is looking for caddies. Marcus looked like he was going to cry. "And Dad," I continued, "I'm keeping you on. As a consultant. You'll have a small office in the basement. You'll report to my assistant. Your salary will be exactly $50,000 a year." I paused, letting the number sink in. Consider it a gratitude payment. Today, Sterling Nova is the largest logistics tech firm in the United States. My brothers are gone. One is selling insurance, the other is living off a dwindling trust fund in a condo he can't afford. My father comes into the office every day. He sits in his small basement office. He sees my name on the top of every memo. He sees the gratitude check I sign for him every month. People ask me if I feel bad. They ask if the revenge was worth it. I tell them this. In the world of personal finance, your greatest asset isn't your bank account. It's your value. If you let someone else tell you what you're worth, you've already lost. If you take the insult and turn it into capital, you win. I didn't win because I was angry. I won because I was better at the math. I won because I understood that in America, the only gratitude that matters is the kind you earn for yourself. The next time someone tries to hand you a consolation prize while they take the trophy, don't throw it back at them. Take it. Invest it. Build your empire in the shadows. And when you're ready, buy the building they're standing in. If this story of high-stakes justice and financial mastery resonated with you, you're in the right place. Don't just watch the empires fall, learn how to build your own. Join RevengeEcho today for daily tales of underdogs taking back what's theirs, and stories of satisfying, cold-blooded success. Subscribe now and never miss an echo. What is the one insult in your career that you're going to turn into your greatest success story? Final financial takeaway. Elara survived on the minimum to maximize her investment. She realized that $15 million in equity is worth infinitely more than $50,000 in cash. She used the hostile takeover strategy by buying debt, a common move in US corporate finance to gain control of failing assets. She disrupted a legacy market by offering better tech at a lower margin, proving that meritocracy always beats nepotism in the long run.
Thanking you for watching Revenge Echo channel. Like, subscribe and comment where you are watching from.